another 36,000 who are not on par. We have 600,000 students in the school system. My own estimate is that about 20% parents can afford to buy tablets or laptops for their kids. So we have about 500,000 students who are in need. This plan will fail the Jamaican students. Let me start by asking, of the 40,000 tablets that the minister projects to start delivering October 2nd, can she provide to the Parliament a time frame for when these tablets are going to be delivered? If the first 10,000 will be done between October and November, the next 20,000, if these tablets are in Jamaica right now, if they are in Jamaica, how long they've been in Jamaica? Secondly, why has the ministry divested itself of responsibility for procuring tablets by asking principals of schools to go and procure tablets? I can't understand the rationale for this. You have e-learning that has expertise in procuring tablets, and now the government has given money to principals, asked each principal to go out there and procure tablets for their schools. How can that make sense? One, you're not going to get the volume discounts and the benefit of price. You're going to have many different, while you're providing specifications, principals are not procurement officers. So I can't understand the rationale for doing this. Third, Madam Speaker, can the minister update us on the status of the island-wide broadband network? There's a program funded by the Universal Service Fund with both providers where schools, hospitals, post offices, police stations, health centers have been connected to high-speed internet access. I know what we left in 2016. I don't know where we are right now. And the reason I'm interested in this, the devices are one end of the spectrum. Internet access is the other end of the spectrum. And if we don't have internet access, and while I've heard what she has said in some of these things, we are again going to be failing these students. So Madam Speaker, when I see this plan here, it does not go far enough. It simply does not go far enough. And the risk that we face, and this is an issue which existed long before COVID. The failure to provide these instruments existed long before COVID. The risk we face is that we have not had in-person school from March of this year. You have students who have had no access to education whatsoever. None. We all know in here as members of Parliament because we get the calls every day. And we know the poorer students, the example given by my colleague from Southwest St. Andrew of a lady who has only a phone with three children at home, and that's the only device. This does not go far enough. I'm going to repeat my call. The Prime Minister answered and said he's worried about the thing being abused. We must remove the GCT even as a temporary measure, on tablets and laptops so that parents can access them. In a best case scenario, with your plan, you will not even get up to 100,000 students of the 600,000 that need. And the 600,000 are between the primary school system and the high school system. You may get to 100,000 with this plan. What will happen to the other 400 or 500? Even if you say 100,000 can afford it, what them going to do? This does not go far enough, and the government need to wheel and come again with a plan that can take care of the majority of the Jamaican students.
Side the yellow. Right there, yeah. I'll use this one. Sorry. Madam Speaker, just a few questions to the Minister. What criteria will you use to assist the other 36,000 who is not on path to access the device? And I would like to find out in regards to counseling, what mechanism is put in place for students who will need counseling, since they will be doing, they will be at a distance. What mechanism is put in place so that you'll be able to identify, especially, Madam Speaker, Minister, for those who probably is being abused in the home and they don't want to be using these devices to communicate, what kind of mechanism will be put in place to ensure that their well-being and safety is protected. I personally is very, very concerned because I know that nutrition, when you're at school, especially for those who are most vulnerable, you as a teacher can pick up when a child is really hungry. What is going to happen at home when they are left? Parents have to work. Most of them don't have any helpers. So they have to leave the children to really monitor themselves. What is going to happen? Because we are talking about these things as if it is a perfect thing. And I want to just say to you, Madam Speaker, Minister, it is more to teaching and learning than just chalk and board and computers. If you don't take care of the well-being and the welfare of the students, we are going nowhere. So I would love to see a plan, a comprehensive plan that speaks to well-being, welfare, and also in terms of social interactions. Because, Minister, I do not know if you are going to eliminate physical education as a subject matter. So all that needs to be taken into consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you for all your questions, and I'm going to try to go through them as best as I can. But I want to say to all of us here, we are in a pandemic, and there are two choices facing the education system with regards to school. Either you open school face-to-face, or you open school with students at home. There are no other options. No other options. And so far, there is, right? So far, based on all the consultations, based on what you have heard in the public domain from the JTA, the Principals Association, the National Parenting Association, even in your own individual interactions with persons, there is a high level of anxiety about face-to-face schooling, and so the only other option is to have children at home, and we deliver the teaching and learning experience across a number of different platforms to the students, recognizing that not all students live in Kingston and St. Andrew. There are students out in rural Jamaica as well. And so we've laid out for you all the different options that we will be using to reach students wherever they are. Is the system perfect? No. But we have looked at it, and we are providing the teaching and learning experience on a number of different platforms so that all students, regardless of where they are, will be connected to the education system and will be able to get the teaching and learning experience. If you are in a part of Jamaica where you do not have electricity, you do not have internet connectivity, you have no device, you have no radio, you have no cable TV, you have no TV station, you will get the printed material. You will be connected to your school. You will you will be in touch with your teacher. And you know, across Jamaica, there are schools that are located in communities, and teachers in those schools are caring teachers and principals who will ensure that the students get the material, the printed material. We have arranged for those to be picked up, taken to the teachers to be graded and returned to the students. We will be given lessons 2 weeks in advance, so students will have those. So we believe we have looked at all possibilities. We are even going to, for the video lessons, we're going to be downloading those on jump drives. So students who may be out someplace where they happen to have a laptop or other devices and they can use a jump drive, we will be providing that to them as well. So we are very conscious of the limitations within which we are operating now and using everything at our disposal with regards to our children. In terms of specific questions, what is the arrangement for grades 1 to 3 and grades 7 to 9? Because the emphasis so far has been on grades 4 to 6 and grades 10 to 13 in terms of these devices. As you would have heard, the $20,000 voucher will be available to those in grades 1 to 3 and 7 to 9. Additionally, in our next purchase of devices, the plan is to purchase some 25,000 devices, and those would be targeted at grades 7 to 9. With regards to additional support to parents who are finding it difficult to support their children, funds, for one thing, funds will be provided to parents through the Ministry of Labor for those children who are on PATH. Additionally, NPL will be distributing products to schools for needy students as well. In terms of the parents themselves, there has been continuous training of parents who avail themselves of it. The ministry has been providing mentoring. And you would have heard as well about the back-to-school grants that were mentioned by the Ministry of Finance and the public service that would be provided to students. You mentioned a situation in which there was one phone in the home. I just want to remind you again that the lessons will be provided on a number of different platforms. So it's not just about using a phone. If you have a TV, we'll provide you with a schedule as to when your classes will be on. If you have access to cable or radio, and the printed material will be provided to anyone, any student who has indicated that they would like the printed material. So even if you are able to access online and you say you would like the printed material, that will be made available to you as well. You're not, as a student, as a parent, you're not restricted to any one of these approaches. All of them are available to you. Member from Southeast St. Andrew, I think you need to do a little bit of recalculation of your numbers. In this, I already told you that 190,352 students are already signed on to the learning management system, and they are using it. So that's well in excess of that 100,000 number that you 15,466 teachers are signed on as well. With regards to schools purchasing devices, right, those funds were distributed to schools. Since then, we have indicated to the schools that e-learning will be coordinating the purchase so that the schools don't have to hassle themselves with going out and trying to secure those devices. They simply need to be in touch with that entity who will aggregate and negotiate wholesale prices for those schools. As to the question about CSEC and CAPE, I would have issued a press release outlining the fact that we've called for an investigation into the anomalies. I would have, since then, since the press release was issued, we would have met as regional ministers of education with CSEC and aired our issues. Additionally, there is a meeting planned for this week or early next to meet one-on-one with CSEC Jamaica to present the issues that have come to us. We've also indicated to students who are having the issues with these anomalies, rather than posting it on social media, you have a formal course of action that you can take. Take the appeal to the Overseas Examination Council. They will gather all these appeals, they will aggregate them and take them to the Ministry of Education. We will, as the ministry, be in communication with CXC to present and to argue the case for our students. We believe the issue has merit, and so we are taking this up on behalf of our students that have come forward to say they're having an issue with the grade that they have received. As you would have known, going through this pandemic, CSEC had to make some changes to how the exam was done this year. Normally, you have three segments to the examination process. You have a multiple choice, short essay, and you have the school-based assessment. This year, because school was upended, CSEC decided to only do the multiple choice and the school-based assessment. So students who would have done their school-based assessment, it would have been graded by their teachers. The teachers would have indicated what their grade, their preliminary grade is. They would have gone into the other segment of the exam, the questionnaire, with that in the back of their minds. And so they have some sense of what their grades should be. And it's in getting these grades from CXC, looking at them and realizing that they may be different from what they had anticipated, that's where the issue comes in. There are some other anomalies as well that the ministry has identified, and we will be taking up the case on behalf of the students of Jamaica. So they are not left out there on their own at all. They are too important to be left, with this issue. And I think I would have answered all the questions. With regards, just one last one, the status of island-wide broadband. I'm sure Minister Vaz will be able to answer that question for you, member from Southeast St. Andrew, as to the current state of play. What I can say is all the stakeholders, NWA, e-learning, Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, USF, they're all collaborating to ensure that there is a government-wide, island-wide broadband network that can connect all the government facilities, whether they be schools, hospitals, police stations, community centers, and so on. It's a big project, but I know that they've been working on it and will continue to do so. They have made significant progress, especially in the urban center in Kingston, and they will continue to work on it until it's completed. So thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, there are some specific